We need to be strong and united. The spill motion needs to be defeated and we need to get on with it.
The Prime Minister's learned from those mistakes. He's listening to colleagues, most importantly listening to the Australian public.
This is not a reality TV contest. This is about the Prime Ministership of our country.
Will he be Prime Minister by the close of business today?
Perhaps some were seeking divine intervention before the party room vote.
The result is very clear. Noes 61, yes 39.
It's an unbelievable way to start a parliamentary year for a first-term government, just 17 months into office. While the Prime Minister survived the spill motion, it was effectively a vote of no confidence in him, with 39 colleagues opting for anyone else but Mr Abbott to lead.
That seems to me to resolve the matter.
The Prime Minister hopes the matter is done and dusted too.
The Liberal Party has dealt with the spill motion and now this matter is behind us.
Over the short term, he's right, but saying the matter's behind him doesn't make it so. The size of the vote, 39 MPs in favour of a spill, is far from a ringing endorsement for Mr Abbott, and it's a much larger number than his supporters had expected and is damaging for the Prime Minister. Some insiders have told 7:30 that some ministers did vote for Mr Abbott because of Cabinet solidarity, but would not vote for him again in the event of a second spill motion down the track.
We have looked over the precipice and we have decided that we are not going to go down the Labor Party path of a damaged, divided and dysfunctional government which votes no confidence in itself.
The revolts prompted the Prime Minister to make a number of concessions, including broad backbench consultation on policy development and decisions. No more captain's picks, that his office won't veto staff appointments in other ministerial offices, and a slower approach to fixing the budget.
I've listened, I've learned, and I've changed, and the government will change with me. And we will not buy fights with the Senate that we can't win unless we are absolutely determined that they are the fights that we really, really do need to have.
Dennis Jensen was the first backbencher to publicly say he no longer supported the Prime Minister last week.
It really is a pity that it came to this to get the message. It's a really painful thing. I mean, I've got a hell of a lot more grey in my hair than I had 2 months ago.
He says Mr Abbott should be given more time to prove himself.
Well, I honestly feel now that the Prime Minister needs to have clear air. I'm very serious about that. I've heard a lot of talk about, oh, you know, if the Prime Minister makes another mistake, well then this is all on again. My view is very definitely that should not be the case. The reality is human beings do make mistakes.
Ultimately, I'm not going to be moving any more motions of this kind.
Luke Simpkins is the West Australian Liberal who brought the spill motion to the party room. He's pleased with how many colleagues backed him, but now says Mr Abbott should be given more time.
Yes, the motion was defeated today, but the numbers were heartening, and I think also the Prime Minister's reaction to the 39 votes was heartening as well. Real change he has offered us. I say we should give the man a chance.
Also changing his tune, the former Liberal Premier Jeff Kennett. Last week he said Tony Abbott's leadership was terminal. Now,
I look at John Howard, who lost the confidence of his parliamentary party. I look at a guy in Victoria called Jeff Kennett, who lost the confidence of my colleagues at one stage. We were both able to rebuild, and John Howard went on to serve a huge amount of time as Prime Minister of this country in what was generally accepted as a good period for the country.
Well, you can't say he can't survive. I mean, I go back to when he became leader. He won by 1 vote. And everyone said, oh, he won't last, you know, he'll fall in a hole, he'll say something, as he always does. He was disciplined for 5 years. He never really got off message. Very effective leader of the opposition. His tragedy's been he hasn't been able to make the transition from that to government. Politics, in opposition you play a lot of politics. In government, it's more about policy, it's about delivering outcomes, it's about solving problems, it's about governing. And that's where he's fallen down, and I think that's what he now recognises is the magnitude of what he's got to do.
Immediately after the party room meeting, the Prime Minister recorded a short message.
We think that when you elect a government, when you elect a Prime Minister, you deserve to keep that government and that Prime Minister until you have a chance to change your mind.
In short, Mr Abbott's told his party room again he thinks only voters at elections should have the opportunity to remove sitting Prime Ministers. But his colleagues don't agree. As one told 7:30, Mr Abbott's the Prime Minister, not a dictator. Others have sent him a clear reminder that he'll remain in the top job only while he retains the support of the party room.
I'm still of the view, and it's the same as John Howard's view, that ultimately leadership is the gift of the party room. It's the way that our Westminster democracy operates.
I think it's a privilege that is bestowed, obviously, an honour that is bestowed upon one person, but I don't necessarily think that once it is given, it can't be taken away.
Some had hoped Malcolm Turnbull would put up his hand if a spill eventuated. It didn't. He'd not campaigned for it, and he's kept his powder dry. The Labor Party knows more than most about leadership spills. It's expecting a change in the coalition and is already crafting its attack.
He is super glued to that seat, member for Wentworth, and you are going to have to blast him out.
We are not going to take lessons in unity from a leader of the opposition who backstabbed two Prime Ministers.
It doesn't matter who you choose. The problem is not the salesperson. The problem is what you are selling people.